All right, guys, we're filming. Transmission issue here. A quick backstory before we jump into the video. A new neighbor who probably most likely seen me doing work here and there. I normally have my garage down behind my house, but he probably seen me doing work here and there on vehicles, and came over to the house and asked my wife, actually, can I come over and look at his uncle truck who's visiting from out of town, from Georgia, and I'm here in Illinois, and she told me I'll come over. So I went over and looked at the vehicle, and he was having transmission issues. It just started, and we'll go over all that in a second. But I took time out of my schedule when I'm super busy to help someone who was in need, scrap for funds, just totally unexpected. However, a couple things were working in my favor to get this job done. Was I had the equipment and tools to do it, and I can remove this transmission probably with blindfolds on. So I helped somebody out, and that's my purpose on earth, is to help others. So just took on the job. And the miles. Transmission is shuddering, and we know these things are notorious for torque converter issues. Not getting any codes at all. I'll show you guys what's going on. Let it warm up a little bit. The customer changed the transmission fluid. The old fluid was dirty. Had some metal shavings in it, as expected. It's a truck with 200,000 miles. It wasn't excessive though. When I looked at it, it was a decent amount, but not excessive, as if there's any internal damage thus far. It just started happening with the torque converter, so we possibly can save it. We'll see how this is, but yeah, we're gonna take it for a quick drive. Shifting good. I can feel it. The RPMs are sporadic on here. I can feel the shudder when I accelerate aggressively. I can feel the transmission shudder. Let me try to go now. Transmission is shifting good. It's just the shuddering. So I don't want to drive it too much. Just want to show you guys, or see if I can get anything on camera to show how the RPMs are moving sporadically. But it's shifting well, so hopefully we may not have any internal damage to the transmission. All right, I don't want this thing to get too hot, so just pull it up. Get all the different noises before I work on it. This is before I started working on it. Overcast. Just picked the truck up right now. The mileage. So I just pulled back up. All right, we're right here. This is where we're gonna perform the job at. In front of the garage. I got the car in the garage, and it sucks because it's raining. It'll be overcast, but we gonna get this taken care of today. And letting it cool off now. It should be just about cool off. It's been over an hour since I pulled it right here. Or just about an hour. So I'll be ready to start the process shortly. I do want to note, got a Suburban. I got quite a few transmission removals on my channel, but a Suburban that's nearly identical to this. It had the rear main seal leak. You guys should check that video out. Transmission removal process, 4-wheel drive, it's almost identical to this. The video is doing extremely well. It's a near flawless video on replacing that rear main seal. So you guys should check that out. All right, so let me grab some tools and get started. Weather got a little bit better. The sun just kind of popped out for a little bit. All tools on deck, what we're gonna be using. These are 12-ton jack stands. I may don't need those, but I'm gonna use these. I got everything I need right there. Also, some wood for the transmission. Gonna use this to hold the transmission in place. Yeah, I think I'm ready to go. Oh, most importantly, a couple things. Chocks behind the wheel on both, and the most important thing for me, safety glasses. All right, very first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna disconnect the battery, both terminals, and just remove the dipstick and just kind of leave it out like that. Now let's check the fluid. Let's see how the fluid looking. Just a visual, not checking the level. When you check the level, the vehicle has to be running, of course. Just want to see how it looks since you changed it. Still has a red hue to it, but quite sure there's a lot of still dirty fluid in that torque converter. Battery, 10mm for both. Remove both cables. Fit some old rubber gloves on both terminals. All right, next thing we're gonna do, remove both of these front wheels. Let's check the car up. Remove both front wheels and get the vehicle on jack stands. I'm gonna use these 12-ton jack stands. You can use some 3-tons if you want. All right, we're jacked up all the way. We got ample enough space to get under here. Got the 12-ton jack stands in the front. This is where we're at on both sides. Secure. In the back. Super secure. Gave us about another 6 inches up off the ground. We're on the rear diff perfectly. The 3 tons. I do want to note that transmission is leaking from the pan already. Before I even touch it, the owner said he replaced the fluid, and we're leaking. So this doesn't have anything to do with me. And yeah. All right, let's remove those front wheels. And I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do this, my method. All right, next thing we're gonna move is these wheel well covers. The Torx T10. All right, now that we got both sides of those wheel well covers removed, what we're gonna do next, before we remove the drive shaft, is something that's gonna help us when we get to this point. Sometimes with these transmissions, they seem to stick to the surface of the engine. I've never had an issue with these. All the times I've removed transmissions. We're gonna do something that's gonna help us out when we do get to that part. Also for the exhaust bolts. So I've talked about all these penetrates quite a while on my channel. Huge fan of WD-40. Like PB Blaster, been using that since I was a kid working on cars. But been using this for a couple years now. This is the new can. We're gonna use some of this. And I talk about this on my channel on a few videos. Gonna use this. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna spray a few places. Gonna let this soak. Also, we're gonna spray around that bell housing best we can get it. I'm spraying all up in there in that bell housing. We're gonna do the other side as well. Yeah, we want to spray and just let this sit around that bell housing. I'm gonna do both sides and here. This stuff is incredible. It's a little bit more better than the PB Blaster that I've been using for years. We're also gonna do this side as well. Can't see in there, but I can see where that transmission is made now. We're gonna spray all up in there. So break the seal away from the transmission and these exhaust bolts. We gotta remove these. So also go underneath here and start spraying some things before we remove the drive shaft, which is our very next step. First, since this is the first step, we're gonna spray this really quickly. All right, we can mount the camera and go to remove the rear drive shaft. We got our pan right there to catch some of the fluid. There's an 11mm socket to remove those. And yeah, let's go back here now. All right, now that we got our drive shaft removed, the rear one, we're gonna undo the front one really quickly. Same setup, same bolts. It's just right there. We're gonna undo those first, and then we're gonna remove this skid plate right here. All right, now we can move the skid plate. All right, the next thing we want to remove is this ear clamp. You don't have to. You can pry on the boot to get it off, but we're going to remove it. All we're doing here is breaking the seal. That's it. Next thing we're gonna do is remove both of these 15mm transmission mount nuts. And now we can remove the crossmember bolts. I got the trans secured by the transfer case, got the 4-ton jack there for right now. So we can just get the transfer case out of our way, and then we're gonna support the transmission. These are 13/16. Next thing we're gonna remove is this clamp. 13mm. I have. Remember, we use that seafoam deep creep on this nut or this bolt, so we shouldn't have a problem with it coming off. After that stuff sits for a while, that stuff works really well. Just want to note that. We're going to spray it with a little bit more seafoam and see if that's going to help. But there's some more light under here. Let's mount the camera and see what happens. All right, since we got that loose, that seafoam is incredible. I'm marveling at this stuff every time I get a chance to use it. Now let's undo all the O2 sensors. There's one there. We'll go ahead and get this one. This is one in our face here. Let me zoom out so you guys can get a reference. He removed these already. And I didn't do this. This is like this already. It should be up here on a retainer, but you just want to pull this gray clip out. Let me mount the camera. Once you pull that gray clip out, you can remove it. All right. Let's do all 4 of them. Let's go ahead and do this one next. All right, let's do this one now. This is on the side of the transmission. See if I can mount the camera here. You guys can see me doing it. Pull that gray tab out. Pop it out. All right, let's go get the other one. And then we'll come remove. I should have sprayed here, this clip. There's never a problem taking them out. I always take these out, this metal clip, and I'll pull it off from here, always. All right, let's get that other O2 sensor, and then we'll remove the exhaust bolts before we start taking in this stuff loose. All right, we're on the passenger side. There's our O2 sensor right here. It's funny, you put this in here like this. This shouldn't be like this. We're gonna do this right. It should be behind this, like this. Now we can remove them. That seafoam has been soaking on there for about an hour. I had to leave, so definitely a little bit over an hour. These are deep well 15 sockets we're going to use. I'll mount the camera here. We can actually get a wrench here easily, a ratchet wrench or a socket, and remove them from right here. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is remove this starter. Let's remove this shield first. Let's remove this 10mm bolt right here first, and there's another one right there. Remove the starter bolts. Those are two 13mm bolts. All right, let's go to move some things over here. All right, we can start undoing some of these bell housing bolts. Let's get the transmission secure first. And yeah, I'll be back in a second when I got that secure. All right, we're secured under here. The other jack's just for safety. But we're on here really good. Now, just gonna spray, since I'll be back out in the morning, just so this thing can come apart. Spray all within that bell housing, all on the other side. And in those dowels where the rust is at. The trans should just come apart on its own tomorrow when I remove everything. We're gonna finish doing the plugs. We're gonna remove the plug from here and all the connectors on the back of the transfer case in the morning. And yeah, we should be ready to pull this thing out tomorrow morning early. Let me spray the other side. All right, next morning we're back out here, try to finish this thing off. I worked on it a few hours yesterday. Due to the rain constantly starting and stopping, had to work between the rain schedule and not my own. So, all right, let's get those electrical connectors in the back, and then we'll remove torque converter bolts, then the bell housing bolts, and I'll pull this thing. We're gonna use that access hole to rotate the flywheel until we see a converter bolt. Okay, really quickly, I can easily remove it for the impact, but I'll show you guys who don't own or who don't have that impact ratchet. See, we got a wrench on there right now. It's a 15mm wrench. You can kind of pretty much get it on there as soon as the bolt is exposed within the flywheel area. As soon as you see the bolt come up, wrench will fit on there, boxed in wrench, or this, even better, it's a 15mm, although it's a 12 point, it'll fit on there good. It's a 15mm. This even better because it has some length to it. And I'll show you guys. We'll put this on it because it's long and it's kind of designed to get those torque converter bolts out. You see how it's made. Let me show you guys. Let's put this on there too. So easy to screw it off with the impact, but let me show you guys alternatives for those of you who don't own that or don't want to buy it. This is all about budgeting anyway. Let me show you guys how this fits on there. This is probably the best wrench for these torque converter bolts because it gives you leverage and it fits on there, you know, perfectly. And it has length for torque. And yeah, this is just a perfect fit. You guys can get a better angle here. So perfect fit. Gonna get these off really quickly. Just trying to save time. You know, like I said, we just gonna spin it, screw those rest of them off. Just to show you all how easy it is, I removed a couple bolts here with this wrench and show you how convenient. You don't have to even wedge the torque converter with a screwdriver or anything. You can just use that and take it completely off. Yeah, but very, very useful tool here for these bolts. All right, since we removed the flywheel bolts and we're on this side, we might as well just get some stuff that's right in our face, which is the dipstick bolt, 13mm. This one is transmission bolt, 15mm, and the one under that. So we'll just use a wrench on the 13mm bolt. This is not 13mm, it's a 1/2 inch, so it fits on here perfectly. Guys, so see, I pulled the dipstick out. All right, let's get this one now. And we can remove this one as well. These don't have much torque on them. Once you spin them out a couple times, you can get them with your hand. The two bottom bolts are different on this transmission. I'll show you guys. All right, let's go underneath this thing and get the other bolts. And then we're gonna have to lower it some. All right, we have another 13 millimeter bolt. You can see it right there. It's for the fuel line. Zoom in some more. It's right there. That's holding the fuel line bracket. All right, this other top bolt, it has a 13 millimeter on it as well. Get some light in here, show you all. I'm gonna use the trim tool and remove that retainer to pull that hose back. Okay, I moved that hose to the side right here. This hose out the way. Just pulled it off there. You can see up in there, we can pull that retainer. All right, there goes the bolt. Get a 13 millimeter wrench on it. All right, guys, we should be good to go now. Everything's disconnected. Should be able to lower the transmission. Let me mount the camera up, and yeah, let's try to do this right now. See if it'll break freely. Let me prying on it, pulling it loose. All right, we're gonna jack up a little bit and see if it free up on its own. If not, you know, there's a little plastic cover there you can remove and try to pry on it. But let's see what happens when we jack up first. Came loose. All I did was put my hand here. I had a glove on, of course, and I just moved back and forth, and it came loose on its own. Penetrator helped us out. Broke freely in seconds. All right, let me ease it down a little bit, and I'm gonna pull it back as I ease it down. All right, let's remove this cooler now since we got it free, and then we'll pull it down. Guys, I just looked at my camera and I set my camera over here. I didn't press record when I undid the plug or the 10mm from here from the harness. My phone was sitting right here. I didn't press record. The camera was on and I forgot to press record. Super easy to remove. I'll show you guys. Just pushed off to the side. I do apologize for that. I try to get every single detail. It's just pulling this white clip out, then rotating this arm, push that out of the way. And this is a retainer that goes into here, 10mm bolt that holds this harness in place. Right here. Forgive me for that. I mean, I show everything. I try not to miss anything. And yeah, I didn't press record. Luckily, I just looked at my camera to see past few things I recorded. I always kind of check that. Due to past instances that I thought I was recording something I wasn't. Same thing just happened here, but I caught it. All right, let's pull this trans back. So. Right, here's the old torque converter. Here's the new one. Bought this from AutoZone. Pretty sure this is a remanufactured torque converter. Just gonna take some measurements. Should be. Remove this boot, and we're gonna just make sure it's same size, so we can go back up. And we're gonna add some condition to this torque converter. Look, it may look like we're slipping off the jack, but we're secured back there, and it's on the frame. So if you want to lower the transmission a little bit more to get a little bit more leverage, you can. All right, so this is how we're looking before we install the new converter. Seal looks great. Everything looks nice. All right. Once you set that torque converter on that shaft, just gently rotate it and you'll hear a few different clicks until it's fully seated. And I'll show you guys the measurements with a straight edge across that bell housing. It should be about 1.25 inches with this factory setup. And I'll put a straight edge across that bell housing and show you the measurements from the bolt holes or the mounting holes to the straight edge. It should be about 1.25 inches. Once fully seated, you shouldn't be able to get your hand behind that torque converter at all. But here's the measurements right here with the straight edge across that bell housing. Okay, I'm about to put the time lapse on. I'll show you all the torque specs when I get to those points. Look at the dial. It stayed inside the transmission. Bell housing. It's okay. We're gonna get it lined up. The other one stayed inside the motor. All right, let's go back up with this thing. When I'm reinstalling these transmissions, on any video I've done on my channel, I show every single thing, all the torque specs. I'll show the torque specs here, and I torqued everything down. I put every single thing back just as it was when I removed it. However, the difference is now the guy had to be back to work. He lives in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm here basically in Chicago, and I have to be back at work, so I had to kind of speed things up to get him his truck back. And he was very grateful that I helped out. So I won't be able to show everything during the reinstallation, but I will show that I put every single thing back just as it was. Every single nut, bolt. Getting dark on me. Got a bolt started on both sides. Valves lined up. Have to get under there and use my legs and my feet to push the transmission back up here. I'm by myself, but diff stick is in place. All right, let me try to get all these bolts secure. All right, guys, I got all the bolts in the bell housing. We're gonna put everything back in place. We're gonna torque everything down. I'll show you guys all the torque specs. Now I'm gonna do the flywheel bolts. Here are the bolts for the flywheel. This is what we're using. Be back in a second to get them started. Let me show you guys something else really quickly. So now you got this converter seated in correctly. There's an inspection window in the back right there. I have a shim. That shim at the thickest part is just right at 3/16 of an inch, and I have to wedge it in here. I have to force it to stay up there. It's 3/16 of an inch, but I have to wedge it in there at the thickest part. All right, I got all the flywheel bolts started. Torquing down, well, I just torqued this entire side down of the bell housing bolts. I'm gonna torque down the torque converter bolts next. Here are the specs. This is what I'm using. I'll show all the other torque specs when I get to those points, but this is where I'm at right now. All right, every single bolt has been put in place, torque to spec, every bolt. The harness has been put up there, the 13mm bolt with the small little bracket up there. The harness has been put back on there at the end of those threads. Every single bolt has been put in place and torqued down. The spec starter is done. Everything is pretty much done under here with the exception of the exhaust. The plug is back plugged in. Everything is in place, intact. All the miscellaneous retainers put in place. We already seen that side completely done. Now we're completely done here. Transmission and all. Now it's time for the exhaust. And then I'll put the front differential in, Crossmember, rear diff, and yeah, that'll be it. All right, let me deal with this exhaust. As far as the exhaust on the driver's side, it takes a donut. The donut is held in place. This side takes a flange gasket. Bought a new one. Probably gonna change it out since I got it. That's the part number. It's called the exhaust pipe ring. And we just remove this one real quick, and then we'll install this one. It might come out when I put it up there. I'll just slide the gasket in. All right, let's install this. I guess I just started right now. Of course, it's gonna smoke a little. My hands know everything, and I got lubricant sprayed everywhere. Let's get a light. No leaks, of course. Look at the inspection hole on the converter. All right, let's put everything back together. Take it for a spin. All right, I'm done. Got to jack it down now. And gonna take this thing for a ride, but everything is back. Tightened down, perfectly installed. No leaks besides what the owner himself caused due to the transmission pan, but nothing on the ground. It's not leaking. I gotta top it off though, because we're really low transmission fluid. All the bolts are in, the nuts. Both inspection covers. No leak whatsoever. All right, let me jack it down. Let me go on this side for one final inspection before we remove the jack stands, just to show everything is in place. I want to note here, you don't see the skid plate under the transfer case, and I did that purposely so you guys can see, or the owner if you're watching this video, that I did install the ear clamp back on that Driveshaft boot, and the exact same ear clamp, and just put it back just how it was, and you will eventually see the skid plate on as well. Intact, no leaks from nowhere. Nothing. Everything's exactly back just like it was. Everything is back. Just started up. Thing looking good. Well, I just start up again. Let's see. Turn that down. I'll check transmission fluid now. We're gonna take this thing for a test spin and I'll top it off. I'm topping it off now. Pretty low. Using this. Alright, there we go. Let's see what we got. It may be a little low still. I'll put about 3.5 quarts in. There's chalk under the wheel. think we're still a little low. We're gonna see right now though. Shifting good. Shifting smooth. I think we're a little low on transmission fluid. Yeah, I think we're low on transmission fluid. All right, let me go top it off. I'll be back, guys. I needed a gallon, 1, 2, and there's a third one I just threw away, and the conditioner. So 7.5 quarts of transmission fluid. Oh, I'm trying to have one. There's the other quart. And we're gonna do one last final inspection under here. No leaks, final inspection, everything's in place. Now we're gonna do the final test drive. Final test drive. Right, we're topped off. One last final inspection on the hood. Start it up. Starting up. No lights. Final inspection on the hood. Air sticks in. All right, here we go. After topping it off and doing a final inspection on everything, took it out for a final spin, as you all see here, and the transmission was shifting smoothly, and the torque converter did fix the shuddering issue. No more shuddering whatsoever. However, the downshifting wasn't as smooth as I would like, and he said it's been doing that for a while now. And what can you expect with a transmission that has 200,000 miles plus on it, and probably never had a transmission fluid change? And they want you to be pretty frequent with changing the fluid in these transmissions. And so he took off back home maybe a couple hours after I gave him the truck back, which was a couple hours for me test driving it here. And he made it home without a glitch, which is all the way in Georgia. And once again, I'm in Illinois here. And he made it back without any problems. So I told him I recommend him getting a transmission rebuilt or replacement in the near future. And of course, times are hard out here. He had to kind of work and stack his money up to save to get that done in the near future. But he will be all right for a while. And I was able to get him back going for a fraction of the cost of what a shop would have done this for. And it did take some time out of my life, for a few days, to get it done. And the first day it rained on me, so that kind of messed me up. But a couple days, 4 or 5 hours a day, and got this thing going by myself, no help whatsoever. And yeah, we got going. So hope you guys found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button if you like the content. Terrence and I'm out.